Okay.
Hi. They can't see your hand.
Hi.
There it is. Happy Monday. So we're jumping on here to talk about, I feel, something that's not talked enough about, which are blogs. So there's actually maybe some people that don't know what a blog is. Can you tell them like what a blog actually is? And there are some people that do know what a blog is, but I think there's a lot of people that, I don't know, maybe don't know what one is. So
Yeah, I mean, to me, a blog, so if you think about it, anytime you search something on Google, right? Like, and you're typing in like how to, or like, like information on such and such, or, a couple, whatever. Like, most of the time when you're on a fact-finding mission, a lot of the responses that come up are blog posts, right? They're articles or they are forms of content where you can actually learn more about something. And we're going to kind of delve into it a little bit more, why blog posts are so amazing, right? From like an SEO standpoint, which again, we're going to touch into a little bit more, but also for putting yourself, setting yourself up as the expert in your field. So blog posts, I want you guys to think of it more like an article, right? Like think of it like that, almost like if someone were to have a, like a article in a newspaper, or what is it called, like an editorial, or something
column.
like that, like a column, yeah, in a newspaper. Think of that kind of like as a
Dear
blog,
Jane.
right? It's like, you know what, I'm going to write about social media and blah 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 blah, and that's kind of what your blog's all about. So think of it more like articles, things that people can search for, and yeah.
And if you guys are coming on, say hi and where you're coming in from. Tag some people that you feel could benefit from this. Share the video. And if you have a blog, leave the link to your blog in the comments section. We would love the viewers to actually have an opportunity to read it. So we wanted to go over four simple things. The who, the what, the where, and the when of a blog. And again, I just started blogging, I would say consistently, February?
Yeah. I'd say, yeah.
And there are so many different types of ways to start a blog, but we didn't want to overwhelm you. We just wanted to talk about how important it is. So the first thing that you have to ask yourself is, if you want to start a blog, who is your blog for? There you are, Nancy.
Well.
Who is your blog for? So Nancy, who is my blog for? Who is your blog for? Because that's an important question that you need to ask yourself before you actually start one.
Yeah, and what I want you guys to think about is, the word blog again, right? So I said it's more like an article and it's whatever. Like, it's a piece of content teaching someone something, okay? So in a very non-overwhelming way, right? You're basically looking at your audience, your target market, your avatar, your potential customers, your potential future team members, your potential people, right? Like, you're putting content out there for them that, one, not only shows you as the expert in your field, but it also shows different things that they're looking to learn about, right? So when Scott says, who is your blog for? That's exactly who it's for. So don't think about you and where you're at. Think about where your people are at, right? What are the pain points? What are the things they're going through? If they were sitting at the computer and they're typing in Google and they're trying to find you, what would they be searching for? That is who you're writing this blog content for. And blog content, just so you guys know, we're going to kind of uncover this a little bit later in this live, but blog content can become so much more. It can become your Facebook Live content. It can become your podcast topics. It can become atomized into a lot of different content posts on Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all over the place, right? So taking the time to actually spend, an hour, maybe a week to write one blog post can do more than you would even think. But it all starts with who you are speaking to, and it's providing great content for that person.
So the second thing that you want to ask yourself is, what should your blog be about? Now, I'm going to use myself as an example because I started my blog, like Nancy said, back in February. And my blog, I got conceptually from some of the topics that I was doing on my podcast. So there's visual learners and there's auditory learners. So some people like to auditorily read or listen to something and learn, but there's also visual learners that don't want to listen to a podcast or don't want to listen to a book on Audible. They actually want to, buy the book, feel the pages, read it, just like a blog. They'll go to someone's website and they'll go to the blog section. So the idea that I had was, why don't I take some of my basic tip podcast episodes, download them into a document form, and splice them up into blog articles, which has been really beneficial for something that Nancy touched on for search engine optimization, or SEO. And a lot of you guys have heard me talk about that with LinkedIn because it's most optimized on there. But when someone is, again, how Nancy said, when someone is searching online, how to safely lose weight, the benefits of CBD oil, why essential oils for your everyday health and wellness, the benefit of using eco-friendly cleaning products in your household. When you start to think about what the end user is searching and you start writing blog content around that, because you got to understand, there are people that hang out on social media, but then there's another group of people that actually are on Google all day searching for things and
Who want what you have.
right. Well, they're researching, they're reading articles. They don't want to spend time scrolling and trolling on social media. They actually want to read some content, and that's what your blog should be about. Your blog should be about what people want to get information from, or get information from that's going to benefit them in their life after reading it.
Yeah, and I want you guys to think about this, like, right? Like, the blog is almost like a website in a way, where it's a piece of content, it's a thing where you can drive traffic to that thing, right? That's of value. And at the end of it, you can say, want to learn more? And it kind of funnels into the rest of the other stuff. I wrote a little card where it's like, your blog kind of leads, right? Okay, yeah, Scott, we'll hold it up, right? The blog leads to your CTA, which is your call to action, whatever you want people to take action on, which leads to maybe a landing page and then to your goal, okay? So the good thing about blog posts is, unlike a website, right, you can have tons of different blog posts. And again, you can appeal to your target audience in a bunch of different ways. So like Scott said, like, I always love to work backwards. Just think of it, right? Like, so think about, imagine if there were 100 of your ideal clients or potential future team members or whoever lined up at the door right now. What do they look like? What do they like? What are they interested in? What are their pain points? What are things that they want to learn about? What's going on in their life? I even tell people, sometimes I tell clients, I'm like, wake up in your client's shoes right now. From in the morning, from the kids running in to having to deal with this, that, and whatever, trying to squeeze your business in, think of the pain points of those people, okay? You have 100 of your clones of your target avatar lined up at the door. What are things that they want to learn about? What are those things that if we were literally to hack into their computer and we were to take a little peek, what are they searching for? Time freedom, more time with family, a flexible work schedule, how to build a business online, different things, right? What are they interested in learning about? You could seriously probably sit down with a blank piece of paper and come up with hundreds of ideas, just sitting there and just, like, this is what they want to learn about. And those are all blog posts. And the cool thing about blog posts is you can post them all day long. One, they're going to be on your website. So it is, like Scott said, going to help your search engine optimization, because when people search for those topics, it's going to help lead them back to your page. Not only that, though, when you're sharing on social media and saying, hey guys, I wrote this amazing article and hey, check it out, let me know what you think. And at the bottom of that article, it says, hey, if you want to learn more about ABC, click here. it's more opportunity to get you and your expertise out there and how you can help other people. So it's such a cool thing. And again, taking the stigma of like, ugh, I'm writing this article and this long, whatever, it does so many other things, because when you take the time to write your own content, you can do so much with it. You can repurpose it in so many ways. I have clients that have literally, I sent a congratulations like a couple weeks ago where it was like, congratulations, you hit your 30th blog post. Like your own content that you created for your people. And guess what? We could create a book right now if you wanted to. We could create a workbook, you know? So it's a really neat, fun thing. And taking the overwhelm out of it, it's you create one thing that can be such pillar content for so many other things.
And again, if you're just popping on late, you can say hi and where you're coming in from. And if you do have a blog, we encourage you to leave the link to your blog in the comment section so people can read it. But I want to speak to the network marketers and the entrepreneurs, because we talk about doing something different. Just think about what everyone is doing on social media. Everyone's using Facebook, they're using Instagram.
Generic posting.
It's all generic posting, but think about if you just change the game slightly. You know, you're that network marketer that's growing a team and you have a passion, you have a purpose, you're that entrepreneur, you're that business coach. It's so value added to do something different than what everyone else is doing. So you're that network marketer that has an amazing blog. You're that business coach that has an incredible blog that gives helpful tips. The more that you give that's value added to your audience, the more people are going to want to work with you. I mean, the old adage is the more that you give, the more that you get. And a blog you own. That's yours. It's your content. If something happens, God forbid, something happens to social media, Facebook goes away, LinkedIn goes away, Instagram goes away, that blog could save your business because your content is housed on there. It could be repurposed into other things, just like Nancy said, whether it could be video content, it could be LinkedIn articles, it could be anything that you want, but you need a central hub of content. Just posting and praying and hoping people reach out to you, it's not value added. People see right through the generic stuff, but people will stop and they will read the things that are really meaningful, that you can tell someone put love into and they took time writing and care for the reader in mind, not the writer. A good blog writer writes with the reader in mind, not for themselves. They want people to get such value from it that they're going to leave after reading that blog feeling better. Now, the third thing, and this is, again, something that Nancy can speak on and I can speak on what I know, is if you want to start a blog, where should your blog be hosted? And there is a multitude of ways of how to get your blog hosted. Nancy.
I think this is your specialty.
Well, there's two basic ways. Blogspot.com is a great website. It's a way to start a free blog. You can house everything there. The other thing that you can do is through either your website, if it's hosted through GoDaddy or WordPress or Squarespace. All have blog features where you can either do it yourself, you can hire a VA, and you can basically write the blog, give it to them, they can post it for you. Those are probably the simplest, most easy ways of where your blog can be posted. Now, if you want to get even easier than that, articles on LinkedIn can absolutely be treated as blogs because they do have a unique URL that you can share on social media. So if you don't have a website, you don't want to use Blogspot, then head over to LinkedIn, you click on write an article on your desktop, and you just write whatever you want. You have a heading, it posts to LinkedIn, but it then gives you a shareable link that you can share to multiple social media platforms outside of LinkedIn, and that's a great way to get started.
Yeah, no, that's a great way. And you know what? I mean, Scott mentioned a couple ones that are pretty pillar, right, for most people. And one is WordPress, right? Like having a website through WordPress. There are a bunch of different plugins that you can install, right, that will help with your SEO and I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole
You
here.
probably lost me plug-in.
I'm like, yeah.
Plug-in what? Do I plug a cord in?
Everybody, like, whatever. Anyway, my whole point is it's better that you're getting something out there. But a kind of step 2 that nobody ever talks about that I think is a cool little hack is check out the websites medium.com, and that's medium.com.
That's where I...
Yep. So you can actually create your own magazine, okay? And you can create content for that magazine. You can even feature other people in your magazine and all kinds of cool things. So Scott actually has a magazine where we repost a lot of his blog posts in that magazine. The other that is 100% free is called Flipboard. And that's just flipboard.com. And you can go on and you can enter the link of your blog and you press a button and it flips it. And basically what happens is it shares that link out there to a bunch of different places, and it allows people to use that as content or repost, your blog post. Because here's the thing, we want, okay, as social media content creators, we want to use good, valuable, awesome content. So when people are willing to get out there and create good stuff, it wants to be shared. So those are a couple tips that I have for you guys. Medium and Flipboard, just really cool places where you can kind of share and push your blog a little bit more out there. There's a lot of other things that you can do, guys. You'll hear about like guest blogging and reaching out to people that, are in your space as well. But we're talking tonight, the bare bones, the plain simple. If you just plain want to start writing your own blogs right now, even if you don't have a posting platform, open up a Word document, open up your notebook, open up your voice memo, all right? And start recording some stuff that's on your heart and that your people would really connect with, and get it in there. I love when I talk to clients who have pages upon pages of blog posts stored up. Meaning like they just felt like, man, people need to teach more on this. And they open up this book and it's like, it's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And we can't wait to get it out there. But go ahead and write it, write it and then we'll get it out there. But that's, the hardest part.
When you said Word document, it made me think of that that scene from The Office where he's like www.creedthoughts.www.
Yeah,
Ryan's like, yeah, I created a website. Some of the thoughts are really, really bad. He goes, it doesn't work. He basically writes to himself.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we went over the who, the what, the where, and finally we're gonna finish with the when. So when do I post my blog? Now, everyone has different trains of thoughts. That there are people that post a blog monthly. There are people that post their blog bi-weekly. And there are people that post their blogs weekly. I like consistency. So for me, what works well is always being top of mind with my social media following. So for me, I choose to do weekly blogs because social media is ever changing. Content is ever changing. And even Nancy and I were listening to my podcast episode that released today, and she even made a comment. She goes, this is really relevant. When did you record this?
You were just talking about something that happened last week?
Because I try to, every masterclass that I do in the Network Marketing Academy, every podcast episode that I do, every blog that's written, I want it to be as accurate but as up to date as possible. That's why I really like to be in that flow of doing things weekly. And you guys listen to a lot of my podcast. There's 2 episodes every single week. There's people that do 1 episode a week. There's people that do bi-weekly episodes or just monthly episodes. So the more often you do something, the more top of mind you're going to be.
Yeah. And you want to hear my rule of thumb?
Go ahead.
All right. So I was listening to Amy Porterfield and Marie Forleo and a bunch of other, online marketers. And one thing that they're super passionate about is the need for coaches and for entrepreneurs and online business owners to show up authentically. And one of the big things, and I was listening to an Amy Porterfield podcast, and she said, you got to show up at least once a week. She said she had a client that basically was like, I'm not getting any traction. And she was like, well, how often are you actually showing up for your people? And they were like, once a month, maybe? That's not enough. And I'm going to read to you guys what you can actually do from a blog and why it makes sense to do it weekly, right? So one blog post can become a podcast episode. Sorry, I'm going to make sure I'm on camera. Okay. One blog post can also become the topic of a podcast episode. Do you know that there are podcast platforms that you can sign up for and you can start your podcast tomorrow and it's free and you can do it in 10 minutes? Okay. So now you have a blog and a podcast. The other thing that you can do is you can take that blog post, right, which is meant to be educational, and you can turn it into an infographic. You can go on Canva,
which is free,
Canva.com, which is free, and they have an infographic template where you can go on and you can type your fun little things about your product or your service or your whatever you're training on in that blog, and you can create an infographic for people.
How much money have people spent so far, Nancy?
Nothing.
$0. This is all free. Like, you don't need to pay for any of this stuff.
Equity.
Sweat equity.
So yeah, they took that time to write that blog post. All right. Yeah. So that. You can now also create, okay, we got a podcast, we got an infographic. You can also create an email newsletter. You now can create a newsletter where it's like, hey guys, it's Nancy here, and I just wanted to give you a couple tips on bop. It's your blog post. Insert blog post here. Or, hey guys, go to my blog post to learn more. Okay?
And just to let you know, just again, working on the topic of free.
Yeah.
Constant Contact, MailChimp.
Constant Contact is money. MailChimp is free.
MailChimp. Okay. And that's something free that you can have.
Network marketers all day long, if you want to literally bootstrap your business and like totally cost effective, be able to create things at a super affordable rate, sign up for Canva right now for your graphics and for your fun little posts. And 2, sign up for MailChimp. It's a no-brainer. They actually just added, not long ago, they added where you can actually create your own opt-ins, which are your own ways to collect email addresses from people, and for free. And it's really neat because they work with you, like based on the amount of contacts that you have, they grow with you. And so I always recommend MailChimp. I mean, it's never a bad idea, like, you know. So the other thing that you guys can create, right, you've created this one blog post that now has become a podcast, an infograph, and it has now become a newsletter in your email, okay? It also becomes Facebook posts. You can break this blog post down, right? Because I always say that a blog should consist of like an intro, which is kind of like a short story explaining a little bit about why you're talking about whatever. So it could be like, hey guys, you know, I was like eating some cheese in the kitchen the other day and I was really thinking about yada yaddies, okay? And then you jump into, you know what, the top 3 things that really, you know, blah, 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 blah about network marketing. And so then you go on that thing, but it literally can be broken up into different posts, but communicate the same message and have multiple calls to action. The other thing that you can do is take that very same content and create Instagram posts, right? You can create different graphics. You can break that content down. You can create a YouTube video. I actually love, one thing I love to do with my clients, and I have a lot of clients where Scott's like, yeah, go do a Facebook Live video. You're good. But some people are mortified, right? And like, I'm not good by myself, like on Facebook Live. Like, they struggle a little bit. So one thing I love to do with my clients is actually have them write out their blog post, have it, and write some bullet point notes, and then basically use your blog post content, which now you are fresh with because you just wrote that. And then you can go to your Facebook Live on that very same topic. You feel good. It's content you just looked at. You can bullet point it. I even have even more hacks, which are like, you know, teleprompter programs that read it to you. But basically, it's another way to get your content out there. Facebook Live, on YouTube. You can also do many other things, and I'm not even going to go down that road. But literally, again, guys, we created one piece of really good content, which was your blog post. We've already created a podcast topic. We've created an infographic. We've created an email newsletter. We've created Facebook posts. We've created Instagram posts. I didn't even talk about a LinkedIn article. It's the same thing as your blog. You're going to post it the same way. And all these things have wonderful ability to add your little call to action at the bottom, which leads people wherever you want them to go. Is it to set up a call with you? Is it to go to your website to learn more? Is it to, hey, join my group so that we can become friends? Like, what is it? But it's all these traffic channels where you can kind of lead people into doing more and connecting with you. So it's possibilities are endless.
And they're all free. They're all
We didn't talk about anything paid.
No. You know, you can do anchor.fm to start your podcast, canva.com, MailChimp for your newsletter. Facebook is free. Instagram's free. LinkedIn's free. And Jeffrey says, I almost always use my blog when I do a Facebook Live. And, you know, Jeff is a very high-level accountant that we work with. And he's absolutely right. If you take the time and put your thoughts down on paper, you literally have content for days. If you do a blog on 5 or 6 tips for X, Y, and Z, those 5 tips can be 5 different podcast episodes. They can be 5 different newsletters, 5 different infographics, 5 different posts on Facebook, 5 different Facebook Live topics, 5 different LinkedIn articles. So everyone feels so overwhelmed because they think they have to create all new content every single day. But the power of writing long-form content once can take care of all your content for almost a week if you wanted it to. You just really have to sit down and take the time. And there's a lot of people that say, I hate writing. I don't know what to say. No one's going to read my stuff. Listen, there's a first for everything. There's a first blog. There's a first newsletter. There's a first podcast episode. There's a first Facebook Live. But you have to start somewhere. Also, makes Facebook Lives much less intimidating if you already know what you're going to say.
It's so true.
Exactly.
And I'm someone who actually, I love to prep beforehand. I'm very analytical. I mean, Scott is so awesome because he can go off the cuff and just totally go, on about a topic. But, there are people that sometimes you benefit from actually writing your blog beforehand. In fact, I was looking the other day on a really well-known podcast, and I cannot remember who it was, but it was a podcast host, and he actually was going through his workflow of what he does to create content. And every single time he'll say, I write the script first. I actually write where I want the intro music, where I want the little noises, and where I want this. And I write out my scripts to keep it very succinct, to keep it streamlined, to make sure I know what I'm talking about. And for a lot of people who are like, ugh, blog posts, that's weird, or I don't really get the point of a blog post. I just want you to think next time that you're sitting at the computer, right, and you're going to Google something that you're curious about, you want to know more about what's going on in the world, how to do this, what should I be posting on Facebook, or what should I be doing, network marketing tips for whatever. Think about that. And what's going to pop up most likely is someone's blog post on that topic, and you're going to be top of mind. You're going to be the person that they click on and they're going to read, and your call to action where it's hey, go to my website and learn more, or check this out. And they might, tune in. It's so impactful, and it does so many things. And, we didn't dive really deep into the SEO standpoint, but
we will.
When you write blog posts and you have those words in there, it's just going to do so much. And yeah, we're not going to go dive down that rabbit hole.
We will eventually.
But it'll be good. So it's all good. It's all worth it.
And for a little bit of homework, take some time this week and go onto Google and search things that interest you. Weight loss tips. And look how many blogs actually pop up.
Well, and you know what? Search and see what suggestions come up too. Because you might have never thought maybe I'll search how to lose weight or whatever. It's interesting to see what other recommended searches come up that your people might be searching for as well. It might give you some more ideas.
So remember, this doesn't cost any money. It doesn't cost money to start a blog, to do a podcast, to do a newsletter. And we don't want you thinking in your head right now, I can't do that. Anyone can do it. You just have to start. You don't have to go all in right away, but just doing a little bit now and you start getting more consistent, it's going to get much easier. So guys, we hope you loved today's live. Again, we're going to see you every Monday between 7 to 8, depending upon when we get downstairs. But just much love and gratitude. And for those on the replay, use #replay. Let us know what you took away, aha moments. But remember, you got to start somewhere. Don't get overwhelmed. Just start small.
Yep.
Okay. With that, we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.